and we should just appear. Where's my phone gone? What did I do with my phone? Oh, there it is. I need to reply to Andy. So the connection is excellent. And we are back live. But I can't tell you, Ben.
Fingers crossed.
Whether there's an echo or what's going on here. I wish Andy was here. I need to...
I've got my sound engineer about to do a test.
Okay, so that would be good. So she can tell us if there's echoes, and I wonder if it was to do with YouTube, or perhaps it wasn't us.
Possibly. We'll see.
Right, we need to keep talking, don't we, for your sound engineer? Yeah. Well, I don't know, Ben. So what do you think about what I'm saying?
We're still getting an echo.
Still getting an echo. That is so weird. I don't know why we are getting this echo.
Yeah, I've just heard it, Phil. It's bad.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
Well, it can't be anything my end, because there's nothing to feed back here. There's absolutely nothing to feed back here. I really don't understand it. Go back into the settings. There's nothing here that could be causing a problem. We've got like 3 viewers in there now, probably trying to figure out what on earth is going on. Hey guys, if there is anybody in here, we're just testing at the moment. We're having audio problems, really big audio problems, as you can probably tell. Is it my... Can't be my headphones. That can't be feeding back. Where's the audio?
I've muted my speakers and I've unmuted my microphone to say this, just to see what it sounds like.
Well, I can still hear you. I can still hear you really well. Okay, Andy, we are testing at the moment. Ben has muted his speakers and his microphone. Can you hear me okay, or is there a terrible echo? We are having audio problems. And if you could let me know, because Ben is muted now. Is there a problem with my audio? Then what we'll do is we'll mute me, and we'll try Ben on his own. So Ben can't hear anything at the moment or say anything. So what are you hearing, Andy? Is there an echo problem? There's a slight echo with me. Okay, I'm gonna I wonder what that slight echo is coming from. Okay, what I'm gonna do... I wonder if it's because I've got 2 audios set somewhere. But I will mute me now. And then if Ben can then speak... Ben, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, if you can turn your stuff on now, I'm going to mute me. Andy said there's a slight echo, but nothing to bother him.
Okay.
So now we'll try you on your own.
Yeah.
I'm going to mute me now. Hold on.
Hello, I'm now going to take over the podcast and talk myself. I am now Phil, and I'm going to take over. I'm going to take over the channel, and he's a grumpy old man, and I'm not sure if he can hear me or not. I could say anything I want about him, anything. Oh, you can hear me. Oh, no. I can't. I thought I could get away with it, but he can hear me somehow. Oh dear. Oh dear, that's me getting kicked off the podcast. He can obviously hear me through his headphones still, but I'll see if we've got an echo. I'm not sure if we've got an echo on my end or not. Be good to see if it's on his side or my side or what. We'll wait for our sound engineer to get back to us. No echo, just a... That's very kind of you.
Okay, so it's something to do with my audio then.
Yeah. Is there anything that you can do in the settings, Phil, to deal with my accent?
Probably. There's a delete button somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
So we got mine down to 80, and I've taken yours down to 80. Evening, Blob. I'm not quite sure why there would be an echo my end. It doesn't make any sense. I've got nothing coming through any speakers, or if I turn that on.
Yeah, that's a good one, Andy. You're going to have to do sign language.
Yeah, so when I'm actually speaking, my voice is echoing, isn't it? So I wonder what that is. Am I still here?
Yeah.
And I can, if I turn on my little demo one here, it is echoing a little bit, isn't it? I wonder if my volume is up too high on the microphone now. Because that's what I adjusted earlier, didn't I?
Yes, you did play with your settings earlier.
But it's now down to 45. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you.
Is there an echo? There's a little echo. Let's take it down to 40.
Same echo. This is bizarre.
Let's take it down to 40.
Take it down low. How far can you go?
I mean, it was down to 30 last time. So let's take it to 30. Can you still hear me now, Ben?
I can.
Can everybody in the chat still hear me? Now there's no echo. I think the echo is gone. I'm going to put it on my phone. Just to see. I've got adverts now. So I'm just going to see what it sounds like on the phone. Sounds great on my phone.
Well, it might be that it's... Oh, you sound... There we go. That's all it was. Everyone's saying it's better now.
Sounds great on my phone. Yes, you can tell on my phone. I'm going to watch it myself now. You take over, Ben. I'm just going to sit here and watch. Actually, I'm looking...
Now we're getting an echo.
That's because of my phone. I got to say...
She's an English Springer Spaniel, Andy.
Okay, so are we sounding better now?
I think so. We'll see. I'll just keep talking, and then you keep talking, and we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get back to where we were. We're talking about Phil speaking. It must be very disconcerting for you, Andy. Let's get back to what we were talking about. We're talking about how I think that they're tweaking of the match engine, and all this is about FM25. It's not about FM24. It's about FM25. And what's that button do? Can you still hear me?
Don't press the red button.
Is there an echo?
I can't hear an echo at all. It's all good on my end, but I don't know. I've got a spot at the side of an avatar. Wow.
I'm trying to identify where it might be coming out twice.
It might be the fact that your microphone was just too loud in the settings, possibly. I'm not sure.
Now that's much better on my sample.
I'll just consult with my sound engineer.
I think I've got it. And if you actually listen to me now,
my sound engineer is telling me that it sounds fine.
Yeah, and there's a button here which says mute in the control panel, which should be muted, I guess, because I'm controlling the audio through OBS. And that's probably it. And that's why we're getting the feedback loop.
Well, guys, it only took an hour, but we got there.
We got there. So, oh, God. Who'd be a sound engineer? So, yeah, I mean, I think they're tweaking it for F25, and the tweaks that they're doing, and they download these things when you're asleep. You don't know what they're putting into your game. I mean, you wake up one day and it's a completely different game to what you were playing the day before. They're downloading stuff all the time. And you have no idea what is going in there. And I think that they're making these tweaks, and I think it's affecting the overall performance of the game. And at the moment, I'm making changes which are having very little effect. And that's my biggest bugbear at the moment, is the changes I'm making are not affecting the game. Whereas in FM22, I push the line up. I can see the line going up. I can see my line defending much more towards the halfway line. I'm not seeing it now. And I don't think the changes are actually working. So when I was looking today, even playing through some games in the main save, I was like, okay, I'm going to push the line up a little bit. But then, in fact, when I'm looking at it, the line wasn't moving. When they were defending, they're still in the same place as they were before I
mean, but the effects that you... Obviously, if you're changing the line, if you're changing the formation, if you're changing players' roles, and you're changing things like this, then surely you should see a reflection of that in the game engine. You should see reflection of that graphics. But even if you're not seeing that in the reflection in the match engine, surely it must be still having an effect. Otherwise, what's the point? What is the point?
Well, I'm wondering if we are actually seeing if the game is actually making changes, because I don't think I'm influencing the game in any way. I think I've seen a couple of times where I might have pulled the line back and then conceded a goal late on. But then when I've done nothing, we're still conceding goals late on. So I don't know if it's got anything to do with that. I'd have to play a lot more to get a sense of that. But
so what would be the thing then on your most hated list then?
That I cannot seem to affect the game anymore.
So lack of change from
Andy, yeah, they do that, Andy. Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't seem like I think, and I've seen other people playing the game, and I've watched them playing, like, they just don't watch the game. They don't interact with the game at all. They interact with the chat. and the game's just playing in the background and they don't do anything, and the result comes up at the end and they say, okay, oh, fantastic result, or well, I wasn't expecting that, and then that's it, game over, they move to the next one. And I think that's pretty much how you should do it now, until 25 comes out.
So do you think it's scripted then? Do you think the game says, right,
I'm not going to say it's scripted. Yes, I am going to say it's scripted, because of course it is. I mean, this is the oldest argument ever, isn't it? Is the game scripted? Well, of course it's scripted. Every game week, you come out of the end of that weekend and there's a list of results. You've had no influence over any of those games. So there's a script, there's an underlying script. But what I always used to think was that you can actually change the script. You have a chance in game to change what the script is. If you do nothing, the score will be what the match engine decided before the game. So if you click that instant result button and do nothing, it will be the score that it gave before the match started. And when you get this like waiting for a next highlight, that is when I think it's recalculating. So if you're making changes, then when it comes to that circle waiting for next highlight, it's recalculating. So it will recalculate the score based on any changes that you've made prior to that waiting for next highlight.
Yeah, so Andy's just said it looks to me like it's coded for you to win some games and to lose stupid games unless you have a world-class team. I mean, yes, but also you get those stupid results even as a world-class team.
But it's not just that, Ben. It's like all seasons are a bit like, remember we talked about scoring outcomes. There are only so many different scoring outcomes. When a forward is running at the goalkeeper, there's only 5 or 6 ways it could go. And similarly, seasons, I think, are exactly coded the same way. There are different kinds of seasons. Seasons where you're absolutely pants. Seasons where you can't lose. You just can't seem to lose. Seasons where you have financial problems out of nowhere. Seasons where you have like the most horrible injury crisis that you've ever come across. And I think there are different kinds of seasons. And so you're going to get, before the season starts, the code's going to throw one of those in. I've seen the same as Phil in our teams, 3 times the highlights. Yeah, absolutely. And we'll come to that one. That's my second one. That's so annoying, that is. It really gets me going, that. I'm almost scared when the opposition have a highlight because they're going to score. They score 50% or more from their highlights.
Yeah. So I mean, the idea of obviously that we need to get a list of the 5 top things that we dislike about FM. So it also be interested if we can get, because I've got a couple, Phil's got a couple. If we can get a couple from chat and we can get a list together of things. Exactly. I mean, that comment sums it up, doesn't it, Phil? If you can read that from Jerry there.
Yeah, you could be on a 10-game winning streak. Say you load up next day and be on a 10-game losing streak. Absolutely, Jerry.
Because it's like it recalculates, it reassesses, and it goes, actually, you're not going to win the title anymore. So we'll just put you back in.
And you can actually see that happening, and you can actually test that. And I've tested it many, many times. So all you've got to do is load up a save, play halfway through the season, and then stop. And then save it in 2 different games. So move on another month and see what the scores are. And you might find that you're on a winning streak. Oh, blimey. But then if you go back to where you were and started and play again, you could find yourself losing all those games. And so it's like reloading something. The algorithm it's working to is reloading something. And that's what I said last night. Maybe the best thing I can do here is switch it off, switch the computer off, restart the computer and come back. And that probably would have solved my problem. And I would have started winning again. But ultimately, the game will never have you losing, lose. It will always bring you back. And I did nothing, and it brought me back.
Well, it's got to get, like, this is what we touched on last week, isn't it? That there's got to be an element of hope in the season. There has to be an element of, well, wanting to continue, because if you were just getting battered every week, you would just throw the game in the bin.
Which is where I nearly got to the point last night.
Well, yes. Yeah. So another thing, I mean, we'll have to probably move on slightly for another thing that drives me mad, especially if we want to talk about our second topic with the audio problems we've had. But I've got one for you, Phil, is that the loan system and managers with stupid reasons to recall players.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you could have, you sign someone on loan as a centre back, but they have to be a ball playing centre back. And if they're not playing as a ball centre back for more than, 50% of the games, oh, guess what? You're getting recalled, boy. You're coming home. Even though the whole point of a loan is to get game time, not necessarily play as a ball playing centre back.
Well, absolutely. You were in my live stream last night when Unai Emery said, I'm fed up of you, old man Phil. He's not playing my player as a right winger. Mm-hmm. He's played almost every game as a right winger.
It drives me mad.
And then, eventually, after several communications with him, which is driving me up the wall, he's playing as a winger on the right. That makes him a right winger. And after several times of being cussed by him, the player then goes forward and says, oh, thank you very much for playing me in my preferred position. There's so many kinks in this game that he's ironing out.
There's two good points made in the chat here. First by Andy. So apparently they've changed it so that the goalkeepers don't get injured like they used to when the game first came out.
Yeah, I did mention that to you, Ben.
Which is actually very true, isn't it? Because at the start of the game they were like, you need to make sure that you have a spare goalkeeper on the bench, and it did. Because also they had that thing, didn't they, at the start of FM 24, where if your keeper got injured and if you didn't have one on the bench, then they used to take penalties into an open goal, didn't they?
Yeah.
I remember that. They used to do that because apparently it made it more haphazard in the wins. Yeah, I would agree with that, Andy, definitely.
So I have noticed that goalkeepers are not getting injured so much anymore. I think that there was a patch that took that out. So if you're still getting that, Ben, you maybe didn't get that patch.
No, I agree. I don't think I am getting the goalkeepers getting injured anymore. What I am certainly still getting, though, is my star striker kicking off the fuss because I don't have squad depth in a certain position.
All right, I'm not getting that too much either at the moment.
I am.
Although I haven't had positions where I haven't got depth of late.
Well, Phil, it's happened to me where I've had 3 goalkeepers and my striker's gone, oh, you don't have any squad depth in the goalkeeper position, you need to sign one. So I go, no problem. I've already got 3. I've got 3, but I'll sign another one, so I've got 4. And then he comes back to me and he says, oh, you still haven't got suitable squad depth as a goalkeeper, so I want to leave.
Yeah, but that's because you've signed rubbish goalkeepers, and they know, the players know that's rubbish goalkeeper you just signed there.
Well, I mean,
but then the argument is that's all I can afford.
And they said squad depth. Yeah. They didn't say quality.
Quality, yeah.
So if I want to sign someone with no arms, that's fine.
Yeah, and some sort of thing I've noticed, the intermediaries finding loans for your players instead of proper transfers. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, they promised, and I said this last night, I said a lot of things last night. They promised that it was going to be easier to sell players. They weren't going to make it like you could sell every player. You were going to have to fight for it. But all I'm getting at the moment is intermediaries coming back to me and saying, nobody's interested.
I know. I mean, they brought in this whole system, didn't they? This FM24, because they'll be, it's no longer going to be hard to offload players. You can, sell. But I still find it incredibly hard.
In some way, because of these intermediaries, it's harder. Because they're just saying, nah.
So what we're basically coming to the conclusion here is, why do we play Football Manager?
What? I mean, because we love it. Because it drives us insane. And we all have, Ben, all have this need to beat the game. And that's why we play it. Because until we can beat the game, we're not going to be happy. And the more the game drives us round the bend, the more this drives this competitive need to be better than the game. And
I just cry in a corner sometimes.
And because Andy, we like being grumpy.
Yeah. So in his Liverpool save, Salah complains because I signed Jude Bellingham instead of giving a youth team player a chance. Yeah, it's just so stupid, isn't it? It's just so stupid. Surely the game can recognise that, like, the reputation of a player like Jude Bellingham.
And Salah in real life, is he likely to look at Klopp and say, "What have you signed him for? Are you mad?"
Well, Salah is a bit thick, so maybe, yeah.
Headphones on, play the game. Can't hear the kids. That's a good reason. Yeah, that's a good reason.
Yeah, play the game. That's an excellent point. It's an excellent point. So we've got a few things there that we don't like about Football Manager, but we are.
There's simple things like late goals. I am sick and tired of teams scoring after the 90th minute. It's like I need to get 3 goals ahead, and I know it's coming. I'll give you a goal at the end, no problem. I know it's coming, and it is about, for me. Let's get this real. Let's make this real, please. And this is about seasons as well. This is telling me your defense isn't good enough. It can't last 90 minutes. That's what the game is telling me. So every game you're going to give away a goal in the between 80 and 95th minute because your defense don't have enough stamina. They don't have the natural fitness to go through a season without some sort of spell where they're going to be terrible in the last 15 minutes. But that's not how it works in real life. No. It's like, I know what the game is trying to tell me. Yeah, my defense lacks a bit of stamina. So I've got to get 3 goals up because I know that goal is coming in the 80th minute.
Yeah.
And it is like that. Possibly is a big one for me, late goals.
Yeah, late goals, definitely.
I was going to include in this defensive stupidity, but then I watched Arsenal versus Liverpool yesterday, and that's actually makes FM quite realistic in terms of
Virgil van Dijk and Alisson,
and the one before that with Gabriel and Saliba.
That was bad.
I mean, there's like those were FM defensive ploys, but yeah, for me it's like make it real. Teams don't have a late goal like every game. It's like, yeah, we know our stamina's not great, but it doesn't make the opposition better.
Yeah.
And also I got angry when I was winning, and that doesn't happen very often.
I know, I did notice that. That was quite something.
Because by then I'd just got so angry with the game, and we shouldn't be winning that game now. But suddenly the game had re-rolled its dice or whatever it done, and we started winning again. And so, be realistic. And I've got a team at the moment in South Africa who can't lose. It's just bizarre. But I do have a very good team. But you shouldn't win every game. It's like, But then, actually, I've become a supporter of South Africa in the African Championship because there are 7 of my players in that South African team are in the semi-finals of the AFCON. And there are 7 players in my Sundowns team who are in that team. So I've actually started supporting South Africa,
Yeah.
especially as
But
evidence is up front. And,
that is a good thing about FM, isn't it? Because sometimes playing a long-term save or playing with players that maybe you wouldn't necessarily see, you do actually sometimes get a real-life attachment to something, don't you?
But it just
So,
does go to show how good a team I've assembled at Sundowns, because
well,
7 of them are
obviously,
internationals. I've got a
I,
17-year-old who's the best in the world at the moment. So
well, there you go.
but it still doesn't mean that they're going to win everything.
Yes.
Manchester City are a very good football team in real life. They don't win every game.
Well, I think if Brentford are playing Man City at the moment, and Brentford were beating Man City.
Were they? That would
Yeah.
be cool.
Well, I'll have to double check that in a second, but I just need to address Andy's little dig at me in the comments there.
I don't think it's a little dig. I think it's a big dig.
Yeah. So that's if you
Thanks,
can
Shane.
notice
Thank you, mate.
if you can notice that my voice is a little bit hit and miss this evening. That's because on Saturday I was at St James's Park watching Newcastle play Luton, and I got a little bit upset with the referee. I got a little bit upset with the way that Luton decided to start time wasting, but every team does it. We do it. Liverpool does it. Man United does it. It's part of the game. Um, but yeah, to concede 4 goals at home to Luton was poor.
Andy, we're gonna have to get you on the show. We're gonna have to next week get you on the show, Andy, because you're getting away with murder in the chat.
I know. I'm just going to have to end up fighting him. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get Andy on the show next week, and
Did you much at your blood?
he can answer for his crimes.
So, but I think, what I will say about the Newcastle Luton game was that it was a great advertisement for the Premier League. That a team like Luton can go face to face with a juggernaut like Newcastle, and
No.
and a juggernaut like Newcastle and get a point and deservedly so. So I work late, unfortunately. That's true. Yeah. We'll find a way. We'll find a way to get you on.
You're here now, Andy.
Yes. Yeah. You can't escape forever.
We can just put a blank little box down here and just add you when you come in. Don't worry about it, Andy. It's not a big deal. So yeah, so top 5 for me. I mean, we haven't had much from the chat. We've had a couple mentioned from Andy. In fact, there's quite a bit from the chat. What are you thinking?
I mean, yeah. So I think for me, it's got to be the annoying little things that the game throws at you in terms of problems, whether that be injuries or squad unhappiness about certain issues, depth of cover, and injuries to positions that you are light on. It seems to target certain things, financial issues randomly. That can yes, it is the top 5 completes for the game. Yeah, so I think that has to go in there. Late goals is definitely one in the top 5, and also I would say the lack of representation. There's my voice going again. Luton. About so a game has to have an outcome, but the graphics can't always show. If this highlight, it's going to be a penalty, and then you see your centre back do a great perfect tackle, and then it gives a penalty away, and it ruins a little bit of the realism, and it drives me crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with any of those, Ben. I'm not going to say that any of them, you're talking rubbish. I think they're all very valid. I think the thing for me is I've lost control. I don't seem to have the control that I had maybe 2 years ago or even last year. And I think that's the biggest thing for me because you know me, I like to tweak things. I like to
Yes.
change the lines.
Yeah.
I like to, and now I feel like, and I said this before the last episode of the live stream, was that perhaps it's just better to leave it. And I think I said that in the episode before last.
Yes.
That what I'm
Let
doing
gods,
doesn't seem to be making any difference, and just
let the FM gods decide what it
yeah,
wants to decide. And
you
I
do
think, yeah,
this. If you do set pieces properly, then you win all the games. I won't dispute that, Andrew, because I don't do set pieces
no,
properly
neither do I. I
myself.
can't. No, I'm lazy.
I'm just a bit lazy at the moment to do that.
A bit. I'm very, very lazy.
But I'm guessing that you're probably right. It's a new feature. They want people to use it, and they're rewarding people who are using it. And
Well, I don't want to throw this in your face too much, Phil, but I'm about to. That you concede a lot of goals in your stream through set pieces.
absolutely do you? Absolutely.
So I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah,
So
I'm gonna agree with you, Ben. I
sometimes the
both.
scorelines get stupid. I did an attacking tactic before Christmas with Liverpool, and the first game I used was against Luton and won 14-0. Well, yeah,
Yeah, you did, Andy. I remember. Yeah.
not every team can beat Luton. All right, it happens sometimes. Luton are a good team. We've just got to remember that.
That's yeah, I do remember that, Andy. Yes.
Yeah, Luton are a decent team, so we can't use that as an example.
Sometimes it's even worse. I beat West Ham the other day 3-0. It was like horrid result. Terrible result. Sometimes the results are totally bizarre. Okay, so yeah,
There's quite a few good lists, yeah.
I think it's what I'm picking up from people is that they're not happy. I'm not getting people coming in. We're not getting people coming in and saying, "Oi, you two, this is a brilliant game. Why are you being so critical?" And I do see that on forums a lot, where if you actually are critical of the game in a forum, you'll get these players attack you straight away. Oi!
So Andrew's saying it's the best game so far.
You think so, Andrew? I think 22 was the best game, and I think it went downhill a little bit from there. Interesting how you. Are you saying that, Andrew, because the graphics are so much better, and they are so much better for sure, or are you saying it's a much more balanced game? It reflects the game a lot better.
I think we just need to rename this podcast the Grumpy Podcast.
Grumpy Podcast, yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with being grumpy once in a while, and you do need a forum to express. Sometimes you're not happy with things, and at the moment I am not happy with SI, and I've been spending good money for 15 years now.
Yeah.
Every year November, spend the money, and it has been improving, and up to 22 I thought they were excelling, and when I got 22, and you can go and look back at some of my saves in 22. Absolutely happy as Larry.
Yeah.
23, I think it started to go downhill. They're starting to prepare for 25. And I think that is the problem.
Let's hope that 25 is a masterpiece and it regains your sanity, because FM24 is killing you. FM24.
I'm still like the best team in the world in my main save. I can't lose. Although, without wanting to say too much, I think my days in South Africa are coming to an end. So we'll have a different challenge, I guess, coming up. But up to that, I'm reluctant to leave South Africa because I just cannot lose. I even try to lose and I can't lose. It's just quite bizarre. You played FM17 until it bought.
Yeah, so the older ones are better. Yeah, I think set pieces are easier to use. The graphics, the buy and selling players is easier. Well, we did mention that earlier in the podcast, Andrew. That I thought selling players was still quite difficult, and I thought that the new feature that they brought in terms of using the the players. Phil, take over. I'll put my teeth back in.
Yeah, but I think what we were on about. I have a problem selling players still, and intermediaries just keep coming to me and saying, "No, sorry, nobody's interested." That's all I get from intermediaries. And it's quite strange.
Last year's was really a backward step for me. I win a lot because I've played along. So I mean, this goes back that if you play long enough, you will find ways to beat the game. You will find ways to sort of. So, for example, you're saying, Andrew, that this year it's set pieces for you, which are the way of beating the game and maybe finding a way of beating it, which is interesting because me and Phil both don't use set pieces and the set piece. So maybe that's where we're going wrong, Phil.
Maybe. But I still think the secret to this year's game is just simply don't counter-press and don't counter-attack unless you are in the big 2 or 3 in the league that you're in. So just stay off those things and you'll be fine.
And I won't sell Langstaff ever. No, I won't.
No, definitely not.
I refuse to sell.
I can't sell Langstaff, Andy. Somebody's put a bug in my system. And there's a virus, which is a don't sell Langstaff virus. God! I am so glad that Ben bought Van Hooijdonk because now I don't have to play Langstaff.
Well, only on loan though.
But I have to bring him off the.
I didn't sell him because Langstaff will be in the Premier League.
Well, I tell you what. Like after I calmed down last night, I say we're still in what is it 8th or 9th?
I know.
And
you're still having such a great. It's to make sure that you're not involved in a relegation scrap, and you've got 43 points or something.
It's like I still think we're going to be around about getting in the playoffs by the end of the season. Might not make it, but it's going to put us at the base of the playoffs, and we might sneak into the playoffs. So I just think it's going that way. It's Christmas time now. There's only 20 games or so to go. I think that's where it's heading.
Well, I think this is the perfect way to end on this topic because Andrew says that he buys Langstaff in all of his saves. He scores 30 goals in a save.
No,
so that's the proof.
I think he lies.
No, he's not. No, he's not. That is proof. That is proof that Langstaff is the greatest of all time, and you have ruined him.
Ruined him.
You've ruined him.
No, I actually do believe you, Andrew.
Yeah, exactly. Langstaff is the greatest. You've got your Messis, your Ronaldos.
Andy, it proves FM24 is broken.
No,
absolutely.
No, it doesn't. You've got your Messis, your Ronaldos, and your Langstaffs.
Oh boy!
But interestingly enough, Phil, talking about things that ruin football,
Luton.
I think we should talk about our next topic before.
You did want to talk about this, and this is where you're going to get grumpy, isn't it? Because
this is where I'm. So I'm just going to put a disclaimer out into the.
This is where you're going to get very grumpy now.
I'm about to get what we call filled, and I am going to get very angry and very grumpy and very animated very quickly.
VAR. I've been like kind of like, is it a waste of time? Basically, is it a waste of time?
So when VAR came out, which was in the 2018-2019 season, I believe, I was all behind it. I thought that it was going to be a fantastic thing for the game. I thought that it was going to change the way that... Because before that, we were getting awful decisions in football. We were getting goals that were, offsides. But a part of that was, obviously it's going to be human error, isn't it? And you're going to have that in football. And I thought VAR coming in will stop all of this, nice and easy, and we're going to have the beautiful game. I couldn't have been more wrong.
Well, Andrew's actually challenging you here. I don't know whether he's seeing his role as challenger tonight because he's challenged me on Langstaff. He's now challenging you on... and I think, I'm going to go along with him for a minute.
Yeah, well, you can be the administrator here because...
But I want to ask you a question, Ben.
Yes.
And answer the question about why did they bring VAR in? What was the
But
reason that it was actually brought in?
well, I think they brought in VAR for the right reasons, didn't they? They brought it in because too many inconsistencies were happening, too many wrong decisions were happening, and people were getting hard done by. And I agree with that. But what my argument to that is that we're still getting those inconsistencies, we're still getting wrong decisions. And I'm sorry, but if you have to look at something for 3 to 4 minutes and still get it wrong, then so I
But
will.
was
I will.
but was VAR brought in? I mean, was it for offside? That there was one
So
specific reason why it was
so
brought
I've
in.
got some things here, right? So there's 4 categories of decisions that can be reviewed using VAR. Okay, so there's a goal slash no goal, whether the attacking a team commits an offence, the ball goes out of play, the ball entering the goal, offside, handball, offences or encroachments during penalty kicks. So those are under one category for if it's a goal or if it's not
Yeah,
a
but they
goal.
weren't always the reason why it was brought in. There was only one reason, wasn't there, when it was thought of? We've got to sort this out. Oh, let's have VAR. And wasn't that just offside in the beginning? That's all
Well,
VAR looked at was offside, wasn't it?
well, it's got it. So there's apparently when it was brought in, there was 4 categories: goal or no goal, and that includes offside within that category, but also handball, ball entering the goal, ball out of play. So it's basically the category is what is it a goal or is it not a goal? Then there's is it a penalty? Is it not a penalty?
Well, like
So
handball is not a
that's
VAR thing. Handball is like you deliberately handle the ball. I don't get this.
yeah, but they
Your
use
arm is in an unnatural position nonsense.
but they use VAR to look at those things, don't they? They use VAR to say, oh well, can we rule this goal out for handball as an offence? But it's been brought into for clear and obvious errors. That's what they say, clear and
Cheers,
obvious.
Andrew. Thanks for coming in, mate. And we'll see you in the next one. And hopefully our audio will be better at the
Well, we
beginning.
found out what the problem is now, so we're listening to that. So yeah, not as many can say. Andy said VAR works, but the inconsistency of the reviews from Stockley Park after you.
I don't know if it works. It's
Oh well, the idea behind VAR, right? The idea behind it is perfect. It's to stop you because we all. I mean, apart from myself, because I'm perfect, but everyone makes mistakes, right? So, but the point of the matter is that VAR is to stop human error, but humans control VAR, don't they? At Stockley Park, so you're still going to get human error. So football is ruined. Players on too much money. Regular 9 minutes added on time and VAR. Players run off celebrating, then stop for 3 minutes. Then it's
yeah. I mean,
um,
I'm gonna go along with this. I'm absolutely going to agree with him. And the 9 minutes or 10 minutes added on is down to VAR most of the time, and it's just an
but
absolutely.
if you so this goes back to the point, Phil. Right? If it's been brought in to deal with clear and obvious errors. How can something be clear and obvious if it takes 7 minutes to work out if it's a foul or not, or if it's offside, or if it's handball?
I
How can VAR take seven
I
minutes?
I'd take it even further than what you started off with. I would get rid of VAR. I
Oh,
mean,
really?
I remember football in the 70s and 80s. We didn't have VAR. Referees made mistakes as well. And you can
Yeah.
see on match of the day after, or on the big match on a Sunday afternoon,
Yes.
you could actually see referees made mistakes. But managers, players, everybody, fans, we all accepted referees make mistakes. The
Yeah.
day after, we're not too happy about the mistake. We're not too happy with the referee, but at the end of the day, they're human. They make mistakes, and that was part of the game in the old days. And I don't know what happened, and then suddenly, I think it was to do with money. I think when the game got huge cash injections coming in from all over the world and TV, and then it became more important that decisions were absolutely spot on. Because if, as Rich said, or somebody said earlier on, that it can actually cause somebody to lose games. I think it was Andy mentioned.
Well, so I've got a very painful experience of this season with Newcastle. when Newcastle were playing in the Champions League against Paris Saint-Germain.
I saw it, yeah.
And we were winning until the 90 plus fourth minute or whatever it was. And the ball flicked up and hit Tino Livramento's hand in the box. I wouldn't say his hand was in an unnatural position, but the ball flicks up and hits him in the hand from about 2 yards. He can't move his hand out of the way. The referee said no penalty. And then VAR stepped in and said, we recommend that you do an on-field review of the handball. So the referee was told to go over to the monitor and look at it. And you tell me a man in this world that has been told by VAR to go over to the screen, and which basically says you've made it quite obvious to the world that you think you've got it wrong, that a referee is never, ever, ever going to look over that screen and go, oh, right, yeah, I'm going to stick with my original decision. But was it clear and obvious? Was it clear and obvious? No. And that knocked Newcastle out of the Champions League.
But that's why I'm saying, Ben, that this is not a VAR thing, because, like, I don't like this hands in or arms in a natural position. Putting your arms behind your back when you're playing football is not putting your arms in a natural position. When I was playing football as a kid, I never wandered around the pitch with my arms behind my back. You were running. You were, like, defending. Your arms are flailing.
Well,
handball is a deliberate movement of the hand towards the ball. That's it.
How do you jump? How do you jump?
Yeah, you have to use your arms.
You have to use your arms. No one jumps like a penguin, do they?
It'd be quite funny, wouldn't it?
Well,
I mean, it's ridiculous. So VAR should not be about handball. That is a deliberate movement of your hand towards the ball, not the ball hitting your hand.
There's so many different interpretations of the handball rule. I mean, we're getting into penguins. Penguins do. I mean, but unfortunately, Newcastle don't have penguins playing for them. Well, we have some, but But UEFA have got a different rule, interpretation of the handball rule to the Premier League. Why can't football all just be the same about the rules?
But why can't we go back to what handball used to be in the 70s? If you moved your hand to intercept the ball, handball. If the ball hit you, that's not a handball. You have to deliberately move your hand or arm towards the ball. That was very simple for referees then to decide, did he deliberately move his arm to intercept the ball? If yes, penalty. If no, forget it.
So it's not clear and obvious then, is it?
It's just very simple. Just, are you moving your hand to intercept the ball?
Well, I've just brought up a very painful memory there of that Paris Saint-Germain game. Because
I mean, and it was shocking, to be honest, Ben. It was
I think I cried for about a week.
I mean, it wasn't that bad, surely, but it was
It was
but
bad.
I still go back to the fact that this all changed when money started infiltrating the game. Now, when you lose a game, it's not now that you just lose 3 points. You lose a shed load of money for the club. And so referees now are not only making mistakes and costing teams points, they're costing the club 50, 60, 100,000 pounds. That's a shitload of money.
Well, every place in the Premier League at the end of the season is worth a substantial amount of money, isn't it, for the prize money?
And that's not small change. And so I think that if somebody mentioned Rich, I think, is players on too much money, clubs are on too much money. There's too much money in the game. And when we had this very simple game, and they called it the simple game in the old days, it was a very simple game. Players played because they loved playing it. They weren't on too much money. The clubs weren't getting all this television revenue, and Middle Eastern countries putting billions into the league and clubs, and it was just a fun game, and people saw it as that. Now it's changed, and it's not a fun game anymore.
You mentioned the fun. So I did a bit of research into VAR, and it was talking about the pros and cons of VAR. And one of the pros, right, one of the positives they said about VAR was it will make the game more exciting because people will find the VAR reviews more exciting than the game, waiting for the outcome of the review. No, we won't, because now every time that a goal's scored, you're thinking, how is VAR going to rule this one out? How, and you can, and as Rich, I think, was it Rich that mentioned? So
Yeah.
you can be celebrating a goal. You're so excited. You've just won in the 90th minute of the game, and then VAR will spend 3 or 4 minutes thinking, right, how can we rule this goal out? How can we ruin how can we ruin this game? And it's just like you can't even celebrate a goal anymore.
It's like any piece of technology. The more you add to it, the more chances there are of something going wrong. And that's like technology. As we go through technology, our computers are getting better, our phones are getting better, but there's more technology you pack into these things, the more chance there is of it going wrong. And that's the same with VAR. The more things that you examine, the more things that you pack into this bundle, then the more chance you have of something going wrong. Keep it simple. Go back to the simple way it was when it first came in. There was none of these 6-minute stoppages when it first came in. Make it very simple. It decides whether somebody was offside or not. And that shouldn't take 5 minutes. It should not take 5 minutes to draw those lines.
Again, it comes back to they've brought it in for clear and obvious. And if it takes 5 minutes to find out if it's a goal or not, or if it's a foul or not, if it's a red card or not, then it's not clear and obvious, and VAR shouldn't be looking at it.
Yeah, and Jerry, I absolutely agree with you. Sky is ploughing so much money into this game and making it an elitist game, because prices to attend games have priced me out. I mean, I couldn't go to a football match anymore. Forget that.
Well,
now.
it's not just the price of it, but they're moving games. So this is a real issue that Newcastle are having at the moment. Today alone, it's just been announced that Newcastle's game away at Chelsea has been moved to a Monday night at 8:00.
Yeah.
So I have to then travel, if I want to go to that game, all the way to London on a Monday night at 8 p.m. It's ruining the game for the fans, and it's all about money. But
it is all about money.
The fans are getting priced out. The games are becoming less and less viable for the fans. I mean, how am I meant to get back to Newcastle from London at 10:00 at night?
Absolutely, yeah. Are there going to be trains running at that time?
No, because the last train leaves King's Cross at like 9:00. So you missed the last train.
Yeah.
So that's just another honestly.
It's just about television then, really, isn't it? It's like not about the sport itself. It's just make money, and we live in a world where everybody's just wants more. VAR itself, I think it was brought in out of pure intentions. I think that they've added to it and added to it and added to it to the point where it's become so confusing that not even the players can understand why they're breaking the rules.
Very true, Andy. At least we'll be guaranteed in a way if we're Chelsea this season. That's another story.
That's probably the only one, though, isn't it, Andy?
Hey, we've just beat Aston Villa, the first team to do it. The first team to do it for 13 months.
I think they were drugged the night before, weren't they?
Yeah, probably.
So, yeah, I mean, I think, like, stop the nonsense. Stop adding to it. Stop making it so complicated. And it is now so complicated that, and so much money is riding on every decision. They have to make it right. So if I'm looking at it, and I could cost Liverpool £500,000, but the thing that I decide at this point, I'm going to make sure I get it right. I don't care how much time it takes. I want it to be right. So go back to simple ways. And people make mistakes. And let people make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's like we had when I was playing football in the old days. And I played football a while. And when I was watching football in the early days when I was young, referees made mistakes. That was part of the game. And we even linesmen, we used to call them linesmen in those days. I don't think you can remember that. They made mistakes too, and we just accepted it as fans, just a mistake. Yeah. We were angry for a couple of days, but it didn't ruin our lives. Well, it probably did cause some suicides, I'm guessing, but it was just a mistake. There wasn't £500,000 riding on the mistake in those days. And that's the big difference.
It goes exactly to what Rich is saying in the comments there, that more and more people are going to watch lower league games like Newport, Hereford, exactly. And they are. But because you get, number one, you're getting priced out of the big games, like you say, because it's all about money. And also that's where the pure football, the more old school football happens. You know, you can do a tackle without worrying about VAR going back to look at it. You can score a goal and celebrate like you can without, that if the linesman keeps his flag down, it's going to stand, and you can have that emotion.
But that's another part of the game that is broken. It's in real life is that why, if somebody is offside and clearly offside, the linesman does not put his flag up until the ball goes in the net. Or till some interaction happens that, and we've seen players getting injured, whether they're really injured or not, I don't know. But that's another part of the game I don't like. But
yes, Newcastle do need to go to Old Trafford still this season. We play Manchester United away on the 20th of April.
We're in form now. That's guaranteed 3 points for us. That is. It's like...
No, it's guaranteed. We've already beaten you at Old Trafford.
Yeah, but that was when we were totally out of form. We've won four games on the trot now.
Have you?
Yeah.
One of them was Newport County.
It doesn't matter who it was.
It does.
Still 4 wins on the bounce, and West Ham. Can't remember who the other ones were, but good wins.
So when you, that's fair enough. We'll see how it goes. But can I just ask a quick question? What was the score when Newcastle played at Old Trafford last time?
I think I might have had. I was in hospital. I had a problem with my memory at that time.
Well, let me remind you.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. 3-0. Not as bad as I was expecting.
Yeah, we won 3-0.
I was expecting it to be a lot worse than that. But
but then we got knocked out by Chelsea. So
I think we are doing about as well as each other, Newcastle and Manchester United.
Both completely average.
Yeah, average, mid-table. And, well, it'll come. Yes, Andy, I consider myself reminded. But yeah, I think people even I keep getting accused of being grumpy about FM, but people are grumpy about football in real life as well. And VAR, you are absolutely right to be grumpy about it. Everybody is.
Yeah, and so going on to what Rich is saying there, he knows that we aren't too happy with FM24. We might have said we're not too happy with it.
One or two things.
Yeah, but at least it's still the purest game. Look at others, FIFA, PES, EAFC, etc. Those models are just making money off buying cards and things like that, and having removed career modes. And yes, we. Absolutely. I've given up playing games like FIFA and stuff like that because that is just, they've sold their soul to just, as you say, taking your money off you, not just for buying the game, but making you buy things on top of it, like to buy players in the game and things like that. And it's just, and the game's such a bad quality this year as well. You see, like the standard of the game, it's awful. It's worse than Football Manager. But we're holding on to this hope. Yes, I know that me and Phil have been very negative and grumpy about Football Manager this podcast, but what I will say is that we're hopeful that that's because they're putting all of their energy into Football Manager 25, and it can be the purest game that we want it to be.
I'm going to break your world in a minute. I'm going to break your world, your dreams, because FM25 is not going to be the Nirvana. It is not going to be where we want to be. And I was reading about this, and I've read about the coding and the stuff that they're using. And I think what we're going to find is players in strange bodily shapes, and the kind of coding that they're using is a little sophisticated, and they're not going to get it ready for FM25. There's going to be horrendous bugs, and that's why they're trying all these things out. That's why we had so many upgrades in FM24. It's to try it out, and that's why I think they've screwed up in FM24, because they're just trying things ready for FM25, which the game can't handle in its current state. But fair play, people seem to like it, and that's as long as people like it and enjoying it, getting results, and no worries, no harm done. But FM25 is going to come out with this brand new engine, and everybody's thinking this is going to be magnificent. It's going to look like real football, and it's not. It's going to have horrendous bugs. It's going to be, I think, probably it's a work in progress, and it's going to take till 2030 until they get anywhere near having it where they want it to be. And like FM currently has always been a work in progress. Ever since I started playing it, it's never been the finished article. It's always a work in progress. They're always like saying, we'll get there. Maybe next year we're going to get there. But they never did. And in the same way, FM25 is going to look and feel different, but there's going to be so many issues with it.
Well, sorry, Rich. I tried to be positive for half a second there, but Phil brought us back to the negative side.
I just don't want. I mean, I would worry if people are thinking in FM25 we're waiting for heaven to arrive. I don't think it's going to be.
That's the only way that I get myself to sleep at night, trying to think about this. FM25 will be better. FM25 will be better. But Andy's right. We all love Football Manager.
We do, and if I didn't love it, I wouldn't play it. Simple as that.
Yeah, we do love it. We do love it.
And in all fairness, FM do a very good job of winding us up. And if they didn't wind me up,
have you seen my grey hairs?
Mine are all grey here. They're all grey. But if they didn't wind me up, and I thought the game was like too easy, then I'm going to lose interest in playing it anyway. And I've got one of my big problems is I've got to stop trying to find how to beat the game, because once you find that little key each season, you just win trophy after trophy after trophy. And you put up with these little idiosyncrasies. I mean, if we had not found the fact that if you don't counter-press and you don't counter-attack, would we have won 2 titles with Notts County and be sitting in 8th in the championship? No.
Maybe not.
No. If we'd been counter-pressing and counter-attacking, we would not be where we are. Mm-hmm. And so it's just as simple that you find something that works and then you keep winning, or at least you keep doing well, or way beyond what you're supposed to achieve. And that is also backed up by the other save. And I will be happy to move on from where I currently am in that to get a better challenge. Because at the moment, there's no fun in it. Because I can't lose. And I want to lose in that safe.
This is exactly what we were talking about, though. They have to find that fine balance between winning and losing, because if you win, you get bored. And if you lose, you get depressed and you turn the game off and you never want to play it again. So there has to be that balance. And this year, I don't think they've got it right.
I mean, you asked the question about, is it a simulation? I don't think it can ever be a simulation, because results have to be decided. The results they're not played out like teams take the field on a Saturday afternoon and play games. They are just decided by a match engine. So it's never until they actually do the research and work out. No, teams don't win 10 games on the trot and then suddenly lose 5 on the trot. That's the part of the coding that they've got to work out. They might lose a couple, and then that will be fine. They'll come back, get a draw, they'll come back. But the way that it doesn't simulate, if you like. It's never going to be a true simulation because somebody or something is deciding what the results are week in, week out. So until they get that decision process right, then it's never going to be a true simulation.
Yeah.
And that's what I was hoping they were working on. And that's what I still hope they're working on.
Well, I pray to the Lord that still FM25 will be the greatest light. I've seen the comment. I know he's
he has to get his comeuppance one day.
He will. But it is true that it makes it.
I mean, yeah, I guess it is fun. I mean, I watch Loki Doki, not as often. Not as often as I'd like to because I don't have time. But when I do, he suffers. He really suffers. And that's part of why I like watching it, because I love to see him suffering. And that is what makes it fun. As a viewer, is to see someone suffer like they do. And I guess I'm not, in my main save, I'm not suffering enough.
Maybe, yeah.
But certainly in the live stream, I get to suffer every other week. I'm like going up and down in that live stream. I get really good week, and then I get a shit week, and I'm like, what is going on now? It's like, and that's the realism. That isn't real.
Well, I mean, I think to conclude it then real quickly, I think that overall FM24 has probably fallen short of some of our expectations.
Yeah,
I think because we've to go from Football Manager 23, which I loved. I liked it. I thought there was a lot of good things going for it. I think it has taken a backward step, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad game. It just, because I still play it too much, but to go from a solid FM to an annoying one is probably why we're highlighting these issues maybe more.
I mean, the two things that we've talked about are in some way related, and VAR, just like the realism stuff with FM, people are trying. There are people behind the scenes trying to make this as good as it can be. I don't for a minute think that VAR don't care. The people behind VAR, they actually don't care. Just do whatever you like. It doesn't really matter. They are trying to make it as good as they possibly can. They're just not doing a very good job at the moment, but they might get there in the future. Just similarly with FM, they do care, and they do want it to be as real as they can possibly make it.
Yeah.
But it's not yet. It's a long way off. And I think they know it. And I think I know it for sure. It's not there yet. But one day, if I'm still around when they finally get it right, I'm going to be like overjoyed.
Yes.
Here it is, the nirvana I've waited for so many years. And VAR may be the same. They may one day get it right.
Let's hope so.
I mean, you think about goal line technology was the other thing that came in at the same time as VAR. There's nothing wrong with goal line technology.
No,
They've got it right. They've got it right.
Yeah,
it works. Yeah. And one day, offsides might be exactly the same. There might be a vibration. VAR can do its stuff very quickly. It's just about how quickly can we draw lines. Vibration on the referee's hand, offside. And how quickly can you do that? And they might solve these problems one day.
Well, we can only hope, Phil. We can only hope, because at the moment it's driving me absolutely mad.
One of the other things is that everybody is a party to decision. I think it would be better that the general public don't see the decision. And then and that takes away any dispute again then. It's like why do we need to be involved when it's like a hair?
I know.
Do we really need to be involved as viewers?
Drives me mad.
So do we have to see that, or can't we just take the word of the people who make the decision?
Yeah.
And maybe these are the questions they've got to ask themselves about VAR. And then maybe one day they'll get it right.
Well, I tell you what, Phil. That's a great way to end it for me. Because I will have to head off to bed shortly, for work tomorrow. But to end on a bit of a positive there, that maybe one day that they can get VAR right, and one day that they can get Football Manager how we want it to get it that perfect.
Absolutely, and I believe, and I've got to keep believing.
Yes.
And we got used to seeing the decisions in rugby and cricket working. Yes, Andy, you're right. But we've also got used to seeing people not complaining about decisions in those games as well. And unfortunately, football is still the complaining sport.
Yeah,
from the player's point of view. You never see a rugby player complaining to the referee. He'll be just sent off. That's it. Off on your bike. We don't want you here. And that is that discipline that they have in those sports that they don't have in football. Rugby referees are never abused.
Because they've got it right from early on.
Yeah. And so if we could get that in football...
that would be the dream.
That would improve things a lot. Then maybe if the players on the field stop complaining too much, the fans will stop complaining as well. And, who knows? One day we might get there, Ben. One day.
We'll see.
Okay, we need to let you go to bed, do we?
I'm up early tomorrow for work.
I've enjoyed that. It was a good chat.
Once we got the audio sorted.
Yeah. Apologise for that. There was a little button that for some reason was not clicked on.
Yeah, too much money involved. Yeah,
absolutely,
definitely.
Andy. Absolutely.
Well, it's been a pleasure, guys, again. So hopefully we'll see you again.
I do think that we should be thinking about getting a guest on very soon.
Put it out there. We'll get
if anybody does want to come on, have a chat with us, then please let me know in one of the community posts.
Do a community post and ask if anyone would want to come on.
Yeah, just reply to any community post and say I've got this idea. I'd like to chat about this and that. Can I come on? We can't obviously have everybody on, but not all at once. Although that would be kind of fun if we could. I don't see why we can't. We could have about 10 different boxes up here. That would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? You never know. We might try it one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know if you want to come on. Got an idea, something you want to chat with us about, then we are always open to ideas here. That's the idea of this. Well, thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Phil.
That was really good. I enjoyed that, and I hope that the chat got involved. I mean, we got plenty of responses as it went on. Andy was very vociferous, of course, very abusive.
Very abusive. We're going to have to get some moderators in to ban him.
But I was thinking of asking him to be one, but
no, don't give him more power.
Yeah, that might be not a good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, guys, for coming along, for taking part. Apologies for the beginning, but hopefully it was a good hour at the end. Thanks, guys. Quick chat, Ben, and then I'll let you go to bed. And then we will see you all next week, guys. And I'll see you hopefully in the live stream tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? What day is it today? Monday. Yeah, tomorrow.
Monday, yeah.
With oven gloves on. Okay. Good night, guys. Take care. Have a good night. And we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.